biggest news stories. We've got Vanessa, Feltz and Nicola Thorp, who are here.
I don't want to discuss this first story.
Conservative MP has been accused of watching pornography on his mobile phone while sitting in the Commons. A female minister who said that she was sat next to the unnamed MP at the time told colleagues about the incident at a meeting of Tory MPs in Westminster on Tuesday night. Her claims were then corroborated by a second female MP. In the House of Commons.
You know, much to say about this. First of all, bad manners. Secondly, incredibly unprofessional. Thirdly, sort of borderline threatening to anybody who happens to see it. And fourthly, MPs are our employees. We pay their salaries, and I don't think we pay for them to watch porn in the House of Commons. Many people saying, what are they doing with phones in there anyway? Because you do see them flicking through the phone. Some people saying, what is it better they're placing their supermarket order or ordering their Christmas presents when they're meant to be paying attention, presumably, to the debate that's going on in the House?
On both sides of the House have said we use our phones for, you know, sort of news reports or talking to our teams.
We all
or
do.
Everyone
does.
Briefing notes. And it shouldn't have to be like school where you walk in and have your phone confiscated because you can't be trusted.
Yeah. We definitely live in a culture now where it's normal for somebody to just have a little peek at their phone. You don't know what it is. It could be an emergency. It could be anything. Certainly not to watch pornography. But this shows, I think, this toxic culture within Westminster, this misogynistic and sexist culture whereby a man would feel comfortable enough to watch pornography at work. And it's not just one, but two female Tory MPs have called him out on it. They had this meeting on Tuesday night where about 40 to 50 Tory MPs were brought together by the Chief Whip and shared their experiences. And the Whips were absolutely horrified. This is a huge issue. This is just, I think, the icing on the cake.
Well, there are, and it's come in a week where there have been, obviously, Angela Rayner, we've been talking about misogynistic, not only what's happening in the House, but the reporting of what's happening in the House, bullying, now this. I mean, what sort of place is this?
It's dreadful. And it's not just this pornography or rumours that we're hearing. There are 56 MPs who are currently under investigation, including 3 frontbenchers for the Tory party and 2 for the Labour Party, who are under investigation for sexual misconduct.
And is this because people are feeling more comfortable to come forward now and talk about this? Like, I mean, that is a step forward in some ways, isn't it?
I'm assuming that in the wake of the indignation and horror that followed the Angela Rayner story, this particular woman thought that this was the right climate, finally, to come forward and say this particular MP is watching porn in the House of Commons while the debates are going on.
So he is anonymous, so should his constituents know who he is?
I think that if they do a proper investigation and he's found to be guilty in their eyes, then he should be
not there anymore.
Well, it's not illegal, but it does show something very peculiar about society, doesn't it?
It should be illegal.
But doesn't it show something odd about blurring of lines?
It's really immoral.
But you hear, for example,
I mean,
people
pornography, do what you want behind closed doors of your own house. That's not the argument here. It's not like if pornography is wrong or right. That's not it. But doing it in the House of Commons, where somebody can see, like, what are you doing?
Well, in the workplace at all, or indeed in a public place at all.
Absolutely.
But there'll be plenty of people who have seen people doing it, for example, on the tube, you know, in a restaurant or a cafe, you know, waiting for the bus. So what I mean about blurred lines is, you know, it's on your phone. Your phone, people are virtually surgically attached to their phones. They never put them down. It feels like a familiar and common part of your anatomy. And so, therefore, if you're constantly watching porn on your phone and you're holding your phone and you're sitting at work, where's the bit that tells you, right, don't do it now? It's not now. Don't do it here.
Well, hopefully,
I think that you would
moral
know
fibre.
that. Exactly, but we've, you know, unfortunately, we've got a Prime Minister at the moment who was found to be guilty of breaking the law, and he's not going to go anywhere. So I wonder if actually, if this does come to light, they'll do anything at all.
God, OK, let's move on to Prince Andrew here. He's been stripped... He's been stripped of the freedom of York after councillors in York voted unanimously to be for him to be removed of the honour. And this is obviously in the wake of his settled sexual abuse case. I mean,
which
people are saying...
Which he denies.
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
strenuously continues to deny, and he does deny it. Well, you know, the privilege of having something like that conferred upon you, so the freedom of the city of York or any other city, it's because the residents and the council and people there think you're a great person and they want to acknowledge it, and instead of putting a statue of you in the town square, they confer the freedom on you, and you're allowed to do something like lead sheep across the bridge and, you know, have a party in the town hall or whatever it is you're allowed to do. And it's a way of saying, we think you're great. Well, they don't think he's great. I mean, they're horrified, obviously, by what's been going on, and they've decided to remove this privilege, and they're certainly entitled to do so. They can confer it, they can take it away.
Yeah, and I think they're absolutely entitled to ask for his title. to be removed. I think it's terrible that we live supposedly in a democracy and what we would like to be a meritocracy where people earn titles like that. Now, I understand he was born a prince. I understand that he won't have that taken away from him. But the Queen gave him the title of the Duke of York. He's not a representative of the Duke of York as far as the people of York are concerned.
Losing that title, I think, is much more complicated. That requires a sort of Act of Parliament, and
it's conferred upon him by the Queen.
This freedom of the city is an entirely different thing, decided on at council level. Yeah. There have been commentators who have said, we agree this was the right thing to do. Wait until after the Queen's celebrations. So should they? Is the timing right?
Well, I suppose they were doing it to garner the most kind of headlines and the most kind of publicity they could, and so they've deliberately done it now. And also, they want it to be an actual kind of, symbol of a slap in the face. They want to say you were and now you're not. Look, you're not. And they want the embarrassment to fall upon the royal family. That's what they've achieved.
These allegations that obviously he denies have been going on for years. You could argue, therefore, why have they waited so long to do it? I think Vanessa's right. This is the perfect time to do it because all eyes are on him at the moment for the Jubilee, and I think he should be stripped of the title.
A new guide for prison staff issued by Justice Secretary Dominic Raab has ordered governors and officers to stop using so-called woke language referring to inmates. So rather than referring to prisoners as residents, clients or service users, they should be called inmates. Staff should also avoid the word room when referring to cells. So residents, clients or service users?
I mean, I think they pretty much know who they are, and I'm imagining that the language used is far fruitier and more four-lettered than inmate, room, cell or anything. I don't think it makes a damn bit of difference what you call it,
Does it make a difference when you left prison?
Yes.
Though, because obviously they're saying that rather than people leaving prison, clients, prison leavers, that they should be known as ex-offenders. But will that sort of have an impact on them moving on with their life if you're constantly being referred to as an ex-offender?
I do, and I think this has been framed as kind of this woke culture war kind of issue. But it depends what you think the purpose of a prison is, whether it's purely for punishment or for rehabilitation. Very few people go to prison for life, which means the majority of people, you will want them to be rehabilitated back into society. And how much damage would that do over the years if your room is called your cell or if you're constantly labelled as an inmate or a prisoner rather than a human being? But I understand
as an adult offender, you're not labelled. You know you're a prisoner. You know you're in a cell, and when you leave, you know you're a former offender, and everyone will remember it. And what's appalling is that the judgment falls upon people for the rest of their lives. Job opportunities.